All right, tell me where you are.
I'm at Mr. Wills Lee's house. He was one of the most permanent person over in this area here. The street up here is named after him. He owned all the property back there, which is Lee's Alley. He was also a trustee and a deacon at First Missionary Baptist Church. Originally, it was a big white house here, wood house, and he tore it down and put a nice brick house, which is the best looking brick house over in this area here. Okay.
All right, let's take a walk down here. We'll talk about what's going on here. We're on Chickasaw Street, which used to be West North Street.
Yeah.
And if you look over to the right, we are approaching Lee's Alley, which actually no longer exists. And you can see the pathway to where Lee's Alley was here.
Yeah, that was more than 40 families that lived up in this neighborhood here. That was two-story building, juke joints, and everything else in this alley, Lee's Alley.
Okay, you can see the path here of Lee's Alley. Now
Right.
We're gonna turn and walk, and if you can see in the distance, is First Missionary Baptist Church. And that's how I got the name the Baptist Bar, because of First Missionary Baptist Church. Okay, what used to be here?
This was the Whitestones. They was educators. They built this house here. And they left and moved to New Jersey in the 1950s, I believe it was. And after that, different family moved into here. It was a house here that sits right here on this property here. Okay, the next piece of property here is right here. This was my friends lived here. This was the Dumas. David, Mr. Dumas, Miss Dumas, she was a school teacher. Mr. Dumas was the agricultural agent for Houston County. And Joyce, she was my classmate. She's a teacher up in Atlanta. And this was the Dumas. I spent most of my time up here with the Dumases and everybody, having fun.
As we walk up the street, you can see the neighborhood. Now, what was here?
Now, in this area right here, this was Mr. Alonzo Paramore. They came from Slocum and Cottonwood and Helen, and he built him a house down on the far end of this street here, which is Alice Street. His sons were killed in the military in World War II. So, and they was nice people. Mr. Paramore and Miss Paramore was nice people. After they moved out, then Mr. Leonard moved here, which is Arilee Leonard. Now we coming to the big part. This is Mr. George Cochran property. He worked for the Coastline Railroad. He came from Georgia. We kids used to come and sit on this right here and play. But Miss Cochran didn't allow us to play too much over here. So this is where we was. This is Mr. George Cochran. Knick-Knack, if you know him, this is his grandfather property right here. on 1912.
So this is First Missionary Baptist Church, and that's where the Baptist Bottom got their name from.
Ready? Now, this little drive, what you see right here, this was the driveway. Miss Crocker had a big old green car, and there was a shed back there. That's where she parked that big old green car, right here. And right here where I'm standing over here, this was the store. This was Miss Crocker's store. She sold cookies, ice cream, and sodas. That's what she sold. This was her store right here on this corner. And right there was a fire hydrant we used to stand up on until our parents told us to get down from there before you go to jail. Yeah. Right behind Miss Crockton was the juke joint. I can't remember the name of it, but it turned in to be Brady's barber shop. Then we'll go farther. We're gonna see the Rocking Palace. The Rocking Palace was right inside the Masonic Hall right here. Yeah. Okay, right here was the other part of Lee's Alley. This was the other part. It runs all the way back down and meet Lee's Alley over there. Right here, you had Miss Ruth's Cafe right here. This was her cafe right here. Right next to there, you had George Dixon, had a house there. Then after that, then you had Brady's barbershop and Oscar Williams barbershop. Across the street, there was houses along here. Now, where you see the change there, that was part of Fraser Alley. It goes out and then goes all the way back over to Levi. It was people living everywhere over here. Yeah. Everywhere there was a place, people lived here. There was houses along here too. Double.
This is Alice Street. It ran right into the church. And if you look over to the right, that is Oak Houston Youth Enrichment Center. It used to be, originally it was a Carver Theater, which was built in 1946.
Right. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Okay. This is my great home, built, I believe, in 1948. Originally, the church owned majority of this property here, but they sold it to the housing authority. Right here with Mr. Theodore Daniels grocery store, right here. This was it. Originally, at the church here, that was a downstairs, steps that went downstairs into the basement here. Now, my great homes, a lot of good people came out of here. You wouldn't think it, but it was a privilege to move into my great home. What we used to call just the projects.
that was formerly the carver theater. That's what was originally built on this.
Right here, on this side right here, this was the carver bar. It was an ice cream stand inside of here. Milkshakes, ice cream, and anything else you wanted to have, you would come to the carver bar right here.
Okay, here's a driveway here. What did this lead to?
This is Keaton Alley. No, wait. This is Keaton. This is Keaton Alley right here. It goes all, as you can see the truck over there, that's the other part of it there.
Now, do you remember what was all located in this area here?
Yes. First, we're going to CW Wright had a shoe stand right here on this side of the street right here. Then you had the Cafe Levi building here. Then you go on, later years, you had the tea house. It was a 4-section building over here. You had the tea house, then you had some other kind of little contraption there. I think Billy Ray Brewer had a shoe shine stop in here. Then you would go into the 2 barbershops over there. You had Charlie Clark had his barbershop over here. Now originally back in the late 50s, early 50s, there were cafes all along here.
How about the building we're approaching?
Okay, the one we're approaching now, this is what was a pool hall. Lois Armstrong Pool Hall. You could come in this door here, or you can go in there as another door. But this was the pool hall right here. Spent many days up here shooting pools as a young man.
How about this building?
Now, this is the Blue Front. That's what I know it as, the Blue Front. But, okay. In 1903, I believe it was, somewhere thereabout, this was the original Hawks Funeral Home right here. You come through this door right here. All it was is just a section that you could go in and view the bodies. There was no embalming or anything done in there, but this was the original Hawk Funeral Home right here, in this door right here.
Okay.
This was the Blue Front, which was a cafe, restaurant. They called it a restaurant back in the day. This is the Blue Front. Then you go farther. This was our barber shop right here. J.T. Clark and Amos Sheffield, #1 barbers in Dothan. This was it right here. Then this is the entrance to the pool hall I was telling you about, the front entrance right here. To go back into the pool hall right here. This door is to get you upstairs into the American Legion. That's what that is, all across there, the American Legion Club up there. Shacklebone, he was in charge of that. He run that American Legion right there. Now we get right, okay. Now we get right here, excluding that back there, that's new. Dothan Cab Company. This is Dothan Cab right here. I had a cab stand right here. Then we go farther. That's Boyer's Lounge right here. Where you see that sidewalk right there. That's Boyer's Lounge. That was the #1 thing going on here in Dothan. This was the big club right here. Next to it over here was Mr. Reuben Turner's restaurant. And then on up there, you had houses there, little shotgun houses, all the way up to Power Street. Now this is Hawk's Apartments right here. My friend Bubba and Shaq, they stayed over here, right here. Miss Houston, which is Miss Hawk's mother, she stayed in that one down on the end now. That was Miss Hawk's mother down there. Yeah. And so many other people lived in here. This was one of the nice apartments over in this area here. Now okay. Now we are walking towards the funeral home property. Hawk and Sons Funeral Home. This was it. This area right here. This is where he parked his ambulance right up through here and his car. In the front, on the side over here, he had an apartment. That's a little bitty apartment where people stayed. Other side of this fence right here, that's the Rambo's property, who is the mother-in-law, the in-laws of Dr. D.V. Jemison. This is where his wife was raised at, in a big old pretty house right there, on that side right there. This is it. This is it.
It was built like a house. It was a house.
It was a house, but you come in off of West North Street to view the bodies for visitation. You come on this side if you just come to visit, which a lot of people, that's all they did. They come sit on the porch right here, facing the bottom over there, and sit down and just entertain. That's what they did right here.
Across the street here, the Club Capri building, and Dr. Greenfield's office.
That's correct. His office was right over here, the first one.
This is a pretty famous building. So many entertainers performed in this building.
So true. So
Everybody
true.
From the Manhattan, Al Green, Funkadelic Parliament, Ike and Tina Turner, and we can go on and on.
Oh, yes, sir.
With the different groups that perform here in the Club Capri.
They would ride that bus up and down this street right here. Okay.
Now
this
is a church now.
Yeah. Now let's go to this alley right here. This alley right here. It was an alley right here. I can't tell you what was the name of it, but it was an alley. And it was more than enough people living back in there. You just had houses stuck up on top of houses back here, right through here. Now, right here also, we'll say from here, this was the Sterling Hotel. This original, that's back in the 40s and early 50s, this was the Sterling Hotel. And eventually it converted to the William Washington Hotel. Come on down. Original, Miss Catherine Baker had a shop right in here, in this area. But then our good friend, Shaq Thompson, he opened up a place here called Shaq's Grill, right here. Now in this building right here now, that we are talking about, it was a building all the way down to the street. And it was 2-story. Up on the top, you had apartments up there. People stayed up there. And then they had to walk around to the back. That's where the porch was, on the back, to get up to the apartments there. Now, we're going to move on to our good friend. Kiss Pig. Shop right here. Nobody in the world know what kind of business Kiss Pig had right here. But everybody wanted to come by and holler at Kiss Pig right here. He was a fixture right here on this section in his building right here.
He sit out here on this sidewalk, and when you come by, he said, choo, choo.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. He was a character. He was a character. Then we come down here. Originally, that was Miss McKinsley. She had a shop here, a little restaurant type thing here. Then we're going down. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of it now. Coleman's Barber Shop, right here. Next to that one, you had Grimsley's Barber Shop, Oyster Bar, right there on the corner here. Now you're gonna take a little trip around the corner to the hot spot for the old folks.
There were buildings all in here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Which is a parking lot now.
Yeah, these are all buildings. Yes, sir. You come around this corner right through here, and you're going to get right here. You're going to walk through all them oyster shells coming around that corner there. And you're going to get right here. And this is the favorite Citizen Club. Shelley Jacob, Citizen Club. Ain't Helen, Citizen Club. All of them hung up here at the Citizen Club. This was it. This was the old folks' place, right here. Further down, then you had houses down through there all the way to the green. But otherwise, this was the entertainment center right here. Anything you need, you could get it just about in these 2 blocks right here. I mean, when I say that, sausage sandwich, chillins, hot dogs, hamburgers, you name it.
Fish plates.
Fish plate, yes sir. And it wasn't catfish now, it was mullet. They were selling the mullets back here. This is it. As I say, all these are houses. I mean, you had people's houses all along here. It was a wonderful community. It really was. Everybody knew everybody. People sit on the porch over here at the Martin Homes on this corner right here, and they can see everything that's going on in Baptist Bottom. McRae, yeah.
Say that part again about people used to sit.
People used to sit on, they sit on these porches right here. These porches and the 3 on the other side. They sit here, they look and observe and know what was going on in Baptist Bottom. Because it was really going on in Baptist Bottom. Okay. Ready? Okay, if you look at the incline of the hill here, all the way down to where the church is at. If it flooded on the east side of the track over there where the railroads were, and all the water would come down here and flood out the black neighborhood. And that's where the Baptist Bottom actually came from. The water run all the way down to the Baptist church there. Yep.
Okay.
Every little place had a Coca-Cola sign out there and a door that says Colonial Bread. That was how they recognized each cafe that was here. That was advertisement for those companies there. Bootleg. And this is Boy Kirkland's place right here, the tea house. That's what he loved to work at, the tea house. He's the bouncer. Yeah, mother worked here she worked as a concession. You wanna go by Blushes?
Dothan. Black Hospital.
1930 something, Mitt?